Welcome to Getting Heated, the place to debate and discuss all things surf related. On deck today, Matt Banting lands a huge spot as the injury replacement for Kolohe Andino. But will Banting capitalize on the opportunity? And surfers love to drop their hottest clips on social media. But is that the best strategy going into a comp? Plus, the best surf town of all time is up for debate. Finally, addressing the mentality of shut up and play. Should athletes be free to voice their opinions? The CT is back, and we are fired up.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Getting Heated. I'm Kolohe, and I'm smiling because the championship tour is back. I'm also smiling because I get to introduce these guys with 3 MR trophies to his name, Mick Fanning, and from competing to coaching, Hawaii's Ross Williams. Guys, how good is it that the CT is back underway at Newcastle?
I'm frothing, haven't left the couch yet.
It's nice to be able to talk trash about one more sport. Bring it on.
Well, as we know, Kolohe Andino had to pull out of the Australian leg with an ankle injury, which opened the door for the QS leader, Matt Banting, our subject of heat number 1. We know Matt Banting slays the QS, but has a history of falling off the CT radar. So for Heat 1, the question is, will Banting capitalize on this opportunity to compete at the CT level again? Ross, what's your take?
Yeah, you know what, Coco, I have high hopes for Matt. I think this is perfect because, first of all, Matt was not expecting this. This was a surprise call for him. So he didn't have a chance to, have a bunch of nerves build up for the last few months. I think he's going to just have the right attitude to come in and just shake things up. As far as the way Matt Banting surfs and Newcastle, I really like it. He went really deep into contests the last time they ran in 2019. He narrowly lost out in the semis. Matt, as you mentioned, Coco, Matt Banting's a total warrior on a QS. I do want to cut Matt some slack so far on his performance on his CT. He was really young. He was inexperienced. He had a horrific ankle injury doing a big old air at J-Bay that kind of ruined his season. So I think he's at the right age. He's at the right time in his career. I like the way he surfs. He's really good in the air. He's got great beach break sort of fundamentals. So I look for him to shake things up here, Mick.
Yeah, look, I think Matt's a great surfer. He's a kid that, as you said, I agree with you there, where he's got big turns, got big airs. But there's just been something missing from Matt just in the last, he does so well in the Australian leg on the beach breaks. He's done really well at Manly. He's done well at Newcastle. He's done really well this year already in the QSs. I feel like he's just missing one little thing, and it's so minor. I'd love to for him to add it to his game. Is just a little bit more rail surfing, a little bit more carving. He does these big airs and does these big turns, but there's a lot of downtime in between, and it feels like a bit stoppy-starty. If he could add a little bit of rail time, I think he's going to go and really cement his spot on tour.
I like that, Mick. So put your coach's hat on. I know you've been dabbling a little bit since your retirement in some coaching. What would be the number one priority for you with Matt Banting if he came to your corner?
Yeah, I would love him to add that carve. You have a look at it. Most people have an in-between carve that really cements, links up the big airs, the big turns. Just that it's not a huge turn, but it just keeps everything flowing together. I feel like Matt sort of does the one turn and he stands straight and relaxes for a little bit, sets up for the next one. I think if he puts that carve in there, he's just going to link that all together and just complete waves where he'll take those 7s into 8s and 8.5s, 9s.
I like that. That's really good advice. He'd probably do well. He's at the age too where he's still a bit skinny. He's at a perfect age to put muscle on, and then as you said, that would probably help him out, sinking that rail a little deeper. But in the meantime, I really like where he's at. He's very fast. He's crisp. He's a smart surfer, especially in beach breaks. He's had this groomed QS campaign, which really does well for Newcastle. But yeah, I think he's got that type of surfing where, right now, today, he could go deep in this contest. So, but yeah, hopefully he watches this episode. I like that, Mick. I think that's a good long-term goal for him to put some meat on the bones.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I don't think he's got all the turns and everything. I'm not dissing him one bit. I just want to add a little bit more to his game. I think he's got all the ingredients. He's a very smart competitor. It's just something that, would love to just put that in, and he will thrive and take on the rest of the year.
I have really high hopes for Banting this week in Newcastle. When we return, is it smart to drop your best social media clips leading up to a contest? And we're debating the best surf towns in the world. BRB. Welcome back to Getting Heated. Mick and Ross, what would you say you post the most on social media?
Oh, definitely not nudes.
I don't know. I'm not very exciting. On a good day, it's just on the beach with my surfers. On a really boring day, it's my dog and breakfast. So not very original. How about you, Coco?
Everything. So when sharing turns into oversharing, let's get into that for Heat 2. Ryan Callanan recently said he doesn't like to drop clips during an event, saying it could affect people's expectations of him at a particular wave. So here's the Heat 2 question. Does it hurt or help to drop the best footage on social media leading up to an event? Mick, what's your take on this pre-event social media strategy?
Yeah, I don't see any hurt in it whatsoever. I think it helps. I think there's a few ways I look at it. One, if everyone's seeing what you're doing leading into a heat, they're like, oh, he's on fire right now. I need to step up my A game, and puts more pressure on them. And then I think it just gets you more psyched to go out there and do it more. Like, if you can do it in a free surf, why can't you do it in a heat? I feel like the guys today actually do their best surfing in a heat. So, I see no hurt in it whatsoever.
Yeah, I want to say, didn't he even go a little bit further and say something about he didn't want to influence the judges in a weird way? Instantly, when I heard that, Mick, I was like, I don't know if that's the right mindset. That's just being too heady. You're thinking 3 steps ahead. Whereas if you're a surfer and you're about to put on a jersey, you should be right here. You should be boxed in. You shouldn't be thinking about your pregame with social media. That's for your team to figure out if you are lucky enough to have sort of a team backing you up. And that's what the biggest guys do, like John and Gabriel and all those guys. They have their media guy, they have their coach, they have this sort of nice cool team where they can take care of everything so that the surfer goes out there and takes care of business. So that being said, everything makes a difference, right? Everyone's talking about Italo, everyone's talking about these guys releasing really good clips. So of course that's going to help. That's going to create some buzz. That can't hurt. One of the most impressive things about Italo's social media is his physical training. It just makes him look like a machine. And judges are humans. Maybe they look at it. They're all surf fans, just like you and I, Mick, and they might be like, well, Italo's really serious about his training, his competition, and maybe that somehow subliminally gives them that extra 1/10 of a point to push him through a heat. You never know. Everything makes a difference.
Yeah, look, I'd sort of put it down, that comment from Ryan. I think it's something that he's just so humble. So it was probably just a subconscious thing that he threw out there. I don't think when it comes to game day, it's going to mess with him whatsoever. If he does half the surfing that he did in that clip, I think he's just going to go absolutely loony in the event. So come on, Ryan, let's see it. Let's throw those turns into the event and bring on some huge results.
That's a good call, Nick. I like that. Cal is super humble. I mean, he's easy to back. So I like that you brought that up. I think that's exactly what it's about. He just doesn't want to boast.
100%. I'll boast for him.
Here's a debate we might not be so humble about. Let's talk most iconic surf towns. The CT is underway at one of the best surf towns in all of Australia, Newcastle. So for Heat 3, I want to know your opinion on the best surf town in the world. Ross?
Coco, you already know what I'm going to say. It's definitely Haleiwa. I mean, if I think of surf towns, what makes a surf town? Of course, it's the people, it's the culture, it's the restaurants, it's the scene. But at the end of the day, it's the surf. It's the surf spots, and I got it back my hometown. The North Shore is just packed with the most iconic surf spots there is. And you think about all the history with the surf events, it's basically birthed what we know as professional surf contests today. North Shore is such a big part of it. So I'm very proud. I love all my local surfers that live here, and all the surfers that came before us, the Ho brothers. The list is so big. Brock Little, and I think all the surfers that came from the North Shore really shaped what it is on top of the surf spots. And the surf is just the cherry on top. I think it's the first thing people think about when they think of, the history and surf towns and all that. North Shore is right there at the top of the list.
Mate, I'm not going to argue with North Shore being one of the most iconic places on earth. It is incredible. But look, I'm going to stick with my hometown too, Coolangatta. How can you disagree with that? We have surf pretty much 365 days of the year. The temperature's awesome. Like, we have some of the most iconic point breaks in the world, Kira, Sudbank. If they're not working, then you go around the corner to D-Bar, or if you want to get away a little bit, you just sort of head down the coast. So look, I'm just doing a Gold Coast tourism ad right now. Also too, we've got world champions aplenty, starting back from PT, Rabbit, Joel Parks and Steph Gilmore. And pretty much everyone in Australia wants to move to the Gold Coast. So that's why housing's going up.
I love it, Mick. I definitely would have to hop on board for that if we were sticking to your continent in Australia. But if we're talking about the world, you can't look past the North Shore. That's where the buck stops. I mean, you look at any history book in surfing, it's just steeped with North Shore stories, good and bad. I love that it's gritty here. You got your rowdy crowd, you got your craziness at Pipe and that lineup, and then you got all the really awesome surf spots in between where you got these little, 15-year-old groms or 10-year-old groms learning how to surf and learning how to get barreled for the first time. The North Shore and its surf is just, it's the perfect place to raise a surfer and someone who can appreciate everything there is about surfing.
Yeah, mate, you do have a lot of history over there. And as we do here with, I just picture the one photo of MP at Kira. Enough said.
Mick, I think you got us on the amount of world champions to come out of your hometown. That is for sure. One question, Ross, which town do you think is more welcoming to tourists?
Well, first of all, Coco, I know Kelly Slater is from Florida, but he does live here most of the year for the last 30 years. So his 11 world titles just smokes pretty much all of Australia right there.
He's got a house at Palm Beach down the road too.
Oh, no.
So we'll take those 11 as well.
He's a cheater. He probably has a house in Rio. He's got a house everywhere. More welcoming, you definitely have to give it to Coolangatta. Hawaii's a little rough around the edges, but I also think that's what makes it good.
When we return, we're going deep into the controversy that sparks when athletes voice their opinions beyond sports. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Getting Heated. Mick and Ross, we've all been given a platform to share as much as ourselves as we want. With thousands of people listening, do you ever find that you just piss some people off?
100%. Piss myself off.
Not on purpose. Sometimes you just put the foot directly in the mouth.
That little blue check by your name means a lot of people are listening to you. Let's go deeper into the cost that comes with that. Athletes, entertainers, and artists are often told a version of shut up and play. They're asked to share their talent, but nothing beyond that. So, here's the going deep question. In this day and age, is the status quo line of shut up and play dead or not? Mick, you're no stranger to the spotlight. Start us off.
Yeah, look, it's a weird space, It's funny when people want help, they reach out to athletes, they reach out to artists, they reach out to people that have a huge voice. But then as soon as something doesn't sound the way that this certain person wants it to go, that's when they say just shut up and play. At the end of the day, athletes, musicians, artists, everyone, we're using the world as well. So we want to try and shape it the way that we see is fit. I will say this though, it can be a really sticky point if you don't do the research. If you just go and throw a subject out there and someone just comes back and just shuts you down real quick. Like, there's so many reposts and a lot of people haven't even researched what that actually is. I think you've got to research before you start going and putting yourself out there, because you could find yourself in a lot of hot water if you don't have the right info.
That's really good advice, Mick. I think maybe here's the prime example, especially in America. It's like this. It's a hot topic, right? Maybe no better or more famous example is when LeBron James got called out by Laura Ingraham when she told him to shut up and dribble. I don't think that left a good taste in anybody's mouth. That was instantly everyone just backed LeBron James. Like, who is this, lady saying something like that? It's so rude. Anyone deserves their opinion. And it just so happens that, famous people, whether they're athletes or celebrities, they have a big platform. And that's where some people have a problem. It's no secret that politics are very polarized these days in America. And so then it becomes this hot debate, right, between left or right or whatever it is, beliefs with anything. It's always going to be really polarized and heated. So when athletes or celebrities get behind a certain view, you're going to have the other half of the country that's not going to like it. And to be honest, I'm okay with that. I think it should just be a conversation. And it is what it is. Everyone deserves to express themselves. You can't silence anyone. Free speech is very important.
Yeah, it's something that is going to keep happening. As soon as stuff like Instagram and Facebook came on, people are going to read this information. They're going to, depending what frame of mind they're in, they're going to try and shape it the way they want. And so that's why I think that the information part is, make sure you got all your ducks in a row before you just repost something. But yeah, I think also too, when it comes to political stuff, I think it sort of strikes a little bit of a nerve where you look at stuff like, all the amazing things like someone like LeBron James does for schools and for kids and all that sort of stuff. Like, no one really mentions that or says, oh, shut up and dribble then. It's more like, oh yeah, what a great guy. But as soon as he gets political and makes a stand, that's when I feel like some people just come in and just try and shoot them down real quick.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And that's why, personally, I'm just a huge believer in balance. I don't think anyone should be silenced. No matter how extreme your views are on whatever it is, whether it's politics or the environment. A lot of surfers really, have, a personal relationship, obviously, with the ocean. So there's a lot of environmental friendly issues that surfers back. And even that, you can't win everyone over, because there's fishermen out there that, can have a strong opinion about certain rights to the ocean. And you're just never going to win an argument. That doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it. And that's where I'm a firm believer in balance. We need to figure it out, because however many billion people we have on this planet, it's important that we talk things through and learn how to live as long and as healthy as possible on this little tiny earth.
100% with the talk. In any situation, you got to talk. You got to be open-minded. I think that's why people just clash heads, because they're not open-minded. And hopefully we learn to become, as a community, as a world, more open-minded.
I totally agree, you guys. And I think if we're looking at the positives for this generation, like you said, there's a lot of reposts, and you see your hero repost something and you are going to go do that homework. You're going to learn about that organization. If you're doing it the right way, like Mick said, just do a little homework, and I think it's all worth it. That does it for today's episode. I'm pretty sure all three of us will now be glued to our screens watching the action in Newcastle.
Yeah, I'm back to the couch right now. Don't bother me.
See you next week, team.